Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Aileen and this is the first chapter of Write With Me. If you saw my previous video, you know that I want to make some changes here in the channel. And one of those is this new series of videos called Write With Me. Since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be an author. And 2 years ago, I made that dream come true. But I have never talked about it here. That's weird, right? Since this year I'm writing my second novel, I thought that it would be a great idea if I made content out of it, because I really enjoy watching that kind of videos and I like the pressure of making content about the things that I want to accomplish. So I can accomplish them, I don't know if faster, but I work under pressure, yeah. I figured out that I should introduce myself to you as an author, since you already know me as an illustrator. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. Before we got too deep into the video, please remember to subscribe and like this video. Thank you. I will say that I write since practically I was a little kid, around 8 or something like that. I'm not really sure about the age. The thing that I do remember is that I was obsessed with this TV show called Club Wings. You know the one. These really beautiful fairies with nice outfits and great powers. That's the one. My favorite was Stella. She's amazing. The best character ever.
Full power sundown!
I was obsessed with that series, and also Witch. My first encounter with writing was taking these old notebooks that I had in my house and drawing my own fairies, like creating them, and in the other side of the page I write the name, like I create the character. I write the name, best friend's name, hobbies, a little backstory, even a pet name or stuff like that, obviously the powers. So I think that was like my first introduction to write something for myself and to drawing as well. Yeah, we could say that I'm a writer that I am creating characters since I'm a little kid. Then, years later, I opened a blog. I think I was like 14 or 15, and I have a big crush on a guy, and he didn't. So I find that the best way for me to getting out these feelings without embarrassing myself was to write poetry. I wrote a lot. That was when I really fell in love with writing, because I find it so easy for me to let everything out with that medium that I needed to write. It was like breathing for me. I had that blog until I was in college. I don't remember, I think I was like 20 or something. I do remember when I met my husband, I still had the blog. I didn't write as often, but I still wrote sometimes. And I remember my husband finding out stuff that I write but about him, because silly me showed him when we were friends that blog, and he stalked the blog, I guess. Little freaky stalker, I don't know, but it was embarrassing. After that, I stopped writing for a long time. It's funny to me how I almost forgot entirely that my biggest dream was to become an author. I really did, because as I told you, life got in the middle. I have to move countries at a really young age. I was like 21. I got married and I moved countries. I reconnected with my dream on 2020 because I had a lot of time on my hand. I'm a really distracted person. I don't know if that's the truth, honestly. I don't know if distracted is something that I am, but I do know that it's really difficult for me having a full-time job and committing to something else. Doesn't matter how much I love it, it's really difficult for me. 2020 was a year that I didn't have to think about job because I didn't have one. Broke as hell that year, yeah. But I had the time to sit and write my first book. So that's something good that happened that year, I guess. Well, no, I don't guess. That was something great that happened to me that year. I remember that I was cleaning my closet and I found old notebooks where I used to write stuff and ideas that I had for my stories. And I found one that I found this notebook when I was cleaning, and this baby has the idea for the book that I published 2 years ago. I remember this idea. It wasn't a novel, like a big novel. I was going to write small stories for characters that at one point they connected, and that's it. They were small stories with something in common, with they connected at some point, and that's it, because I didn't think that I was capable of writing a whole big ass story. So that was what I did that. But when I found this little thing back in 2020, I found the idea. Yeah, this is definitely the first, because I just read something so cringy that I am glad that idea changed and that I changed things for that story. Anyway, this was the first draft for that book. Oh, something fell. The ideas for these stories were stories about women on the subway, and they were living in this country, my country, and they were just figuring out how to survive because all of the shit that were going down at that moment. That was basically the idea that I had for those stories. But when I found the book and I rewrite the story, I came up with one big story. I will make another video talking in deep about the story behind that book, or the plot behind the book, because I really find it fascinating. I still love the story and I still love the book, so I want to give this space for people to hear about it. My process writing that first book was a mess. I didn't have one. I didn't have a process. I just find the book, sat down and start writing the heck out of it. I didn't stop. I couldn't tell you honestly how long it took for me because I don't remember, but it was really fast. It was really fast because I could write every day without interruptions, because I didn't have kids and I didn't have anything else to do, and no one else had nothing else to do. I was alone in my house because my husband was working all freaking day. So that was the only thing that I could do. I can't really compare my first process with the one that I'm using right now because there's nothing to compare. I just wrote whatever feels organic at that point, and I think I did my best with the knowledge and the skills that I had at that time. This is my first baby. Isn't that a beauty? Check this. I made the cover and the back as well. It's really simple. You can see that it has this texture like an eye, because We are being watched everywhere we go. I did that. My husband did the text. I don't remember the name for that. I'm so sorry. But he did this, and it's an amazing job, let me tell you. I really like it. How I got to publish this. When I finished writing my book, I was really excited because I honestly never thought that I was going to be able to write a full book. It was my dream, but I didn't think that I was capable of. Those are two separate things. When I was able to finish my book, I was so excited that I started sending the manuscript to a lot of publishers out there. The case is that I sent it to a lot of them, and one day, this one from Spain contacted me back and told me that they wanted to work with me, that they loved my idea and my book, and they wanted to publish my book. So I was so excited. I was crying, happy tears, and I was calling my husband. I think he was at the house at that moment. And so we were happy and, yeah, this is amazing, da, 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 da. But when I read the entire offer, I realized that they wanted me to pay them so they published my book. What they told me was that I needed to pay for 50 copies of my book in order for them to work on it. So I don't know if they love my story like for real, but I was still happy that someone contacted me back. When I read that, my entire world crumbled because we were in the middle of the pandemic. We were broke at that moment, and how the heck I was going to pay for 15 copies of my book? It was a lot of money for a couple who has just one job. It was the pandemic, and all the money were straight to housing and food. Girl, I was destroyed because I knew that I couldn't make it. So I was crying, not more happy tears, but I married an amazing person, and he told me that don't matter how, we were going to get that money, and I was going to publish my book. Long story short, he did it. He found the money, and we could publish my book. I do remember that we pay in fragments. I spoke with the editorial and asked them if we could pay a partial part of the money, and they told me yes, we can make that. Before we ship the books to you, you need to have the full payment. This process was around 1 year, I think. I don't remember exactly dates, I'm so sorry. So with that, we have 1 year to pay this entire amount. We can make it, and we did it. Well, my husband actually was technically, he did it because he was the only one working. So he exists because because I write it, and my husband put the money. So the learning from this story is choose wisely, ladies, because there's someone out there willing to help you to accomplish your dreams. Don't settle for douchebags that tell you that your dreams are too much for you and too big. Bye. No, I'm kidding. The video hasn't finished yet. So that's how I got to publish my book, paying to the editorial for 50 copies of them, and they sent it to me. If you want to know more about how that process worked and if I am happy or not with that choice, let me know and I can make a whole video for that. Something that I learned from this first novel that I wrote was to not rush things. Not rush it. I need to think through my story and to give it space to breathe, and then come back to revisit the story to see if everything works and if something can be better and bigger. I don't want to repeat that in my second novel. I'm taking my sweet time, thinking everything and planning everything. You will know all of these little details in my second video. So make sure to check that out if you want to know everything about my second book. Another thing that I learned was that dreams do come true. Not as you think they will, probably, but they do. And you need to be open to be flexible. Don't get stuck on this dream that probably we all have, people who want to be authors have, that we need to publish with this big ass publisher that they pay us a lot of money for our books and our ideas, and we're gonna be so big with our first book. Whatever you feel passionate about, don't do it for the money. Do it because you feel butterflies in your stomach whenever you think about it. I was so in love with that idea, and I was so in love with my characters and with what I accomplished with this book, that when the opportunity came and it wasn't the one that I was dreaming, I still took it. I still feel happy and lucky to be able to accomplish it. So remember that. Remember to do everything with love and with passion, so you don't have to suffer if things don't come in your way as you initially wanted them to be. Basically, things that I want to avoid with this second book, again, the same. Rush things. I don't want to rush it. I want to think every little detail really well. And other thing that I want to avoid is, as you know, obviously, if you have seen my previous video or if you know me, is that I'm an illustrator and I wanted this book to be a graphic novel. But I was so excited when I finished it that I could wait and make the illustration part of the book. So I sent it like this and it got published just as a book, like a regular novel without any cute drawings. If you ask me what do I want to accomplish with this new book, it's just to improve, to be a better writer, to be able to communicate what I want to communicate, to write amazing characters, and just to really make a really good book in all the aspects. I just want to be able to tell stories that people like. It doesn't matter the amount of people, but I want to share my stories. That's it. That's what I really want to do, and to be really proud of what I put out there. So that's what I am working so hard in this second novel. And that's what I can say that I'm a published author. I have my first book and I'm really proud of it, and I'm writing my second one right now, and you are coming in this journey with me, and we're gonna have fun and you're gonna know everything and it's gonna be amazing. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you come with me in this new and amazing journey. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.